Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is our launch of this Quantum Conversation Summit Series, Timelines, Creating the Highest Benevolent Outcomes. We are so pleased to be here in this high-frequency webinar with Alicia Power. She has been working with the creator beings, high-level authority creators who have literally been upgrading us. We're going to learn about that. And we're going to learn about timelines in this whole summit series, how we navigate timelines, how we create the best timelines for us and get rid of the old. And it really comes down to being present, breathing, and having an open heart. So with this, I want to welcome Alicia Power to this beautiful program. Alicia, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I just want to say I've got a sort of echo in my audio. So, oh gosh, can you just wait just one moment and I'll just organize myself here.
Okay, that's a looping timeline. Okay, good. So I hope that's better. We don't hear an echo. Are you good?
I won't be a moment because
Okay.
I can hear you. Won't be a moment. Oh gosh. Trying to get my headphone organized here. Oh my God. I'm
Okay.
hearing you like 3 seconds afterwards. My apologies. Let me just see what I can do here.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm
Okay.
hearing you like 3 seconds afterwards. Can you hear that?
Yeah, that's like repeating. We are creating a timeline loop, everyone. Wow. Okay. Let's infuse it with positive energy and
Yes.
call in the
That
creative beings to
that
stabilize.
hasn't, that's right. My apologies. My apologies.
Is it still
I'm
echoing?
going to,
Yes, it's still echoing. It sounds like, hmm.
I'm trying everything I can. Um, oh,
Well, we will go ahead and I'm going to give you the space then, Alicia,
can I
because
get off
yes,
and jump back on again?
yes, actually get off and jump back on again. That may
Okay.
help. Okay. So here we go. As part of timelines and navigating timelines, we know that this light that we hold is the light that we hold, and an open heart and this connection to source, this connection to the light will never be, well, it can be, but it's our responsibility to hold it and not let ourselves get off kilter with it. So we roll with things. And I like to say it's interesting how things work out because there are no mistakes. There's just hurdles and instances and initiations, let's say. So we're going to hold this beautiful space. And as we're talking about timelines, let me just tell you about this beautiful series. There are, when we're thinking of a timeline and creating the highest timeline, it really is our vibration in the moment. And we do need to do a cleanup job. That's always an inside job. We need to clean up, we need to clear so that we can be present. And the beautiful thing that we're learning is that we are being incredibly supported at this time, incredibly supported to anchor in more light, to receive more light. And the light that's here is really incredible. Some of you may already be familiar with some of the frequencies coming in. I'm certain that you can sense those frequencies. And it really is the stillness that we are in that allow us to hold those frequencies. And when we're there, it's almost like we don't need to even think because the heart truly leads the way the entire time. So this is the world that we're moving into. And this entire series is meant to support you in that way with this information. So that is what we have in store for you. We're going to do programs 4 times a week. We used to do it once a day. And remember, back in the day, Summit series would be like all jammed in together, maybe 5 a day. And I'm being told, slow down. I think many people, a lot of the themes that we've been hearing lately, slow down, so that we have time to integrate everything and to incorporate it in our lives. And at this time on our planet, we really need to be the bearers of incredible light, the holders of incredible light, because it's so easy to get distracted. And so I just remind everyone to feel as we go through these next months and this certainly this time right now, we can feel information that comes at us and it doesn't feel good. So go to what feels good always, in all ways. And that will be a beautiful way to navigate. And we don't let anybody take our light. We don't let anyone get under our skin because it's not anyone else. It's all stuff within us. And if that happens, we take a breath. We do what we need to do. We clear that energy. We actually neutralize the energy. And we know that oftentimes, if we don't feel that this is our stuff, sometimes we may be sad. And that's because it's the collective consciousness that we're feeling and sensing into. And oh boy, is there a lot going on right now in the collective consciousness. It seems like the fear and the divide and conquer program, the fear programming is on high. And we can actually see an agenda that's keeping us in that fear, but we're not going to be in that fear. We raise our vibration, we neutralize, we don't even like overcome it. We neutralize it. We don't choose the opposite. We neutralize whatever it is into that 0 point stillness. Okay, let me see where Alicia is. So if there's any comments on this, please share. Oh, where's Alicia? You're there. Oh, there you are. You're there. Okay, I'm making you a co-host so that you can share your video. All right. So how is your audio now?
Oh my gosh, I'm in. Everything's fine. I figured it out. Thanks for
Oh,
waiting, everybody.
well, with that, we were just setting the premise for this whole summit series and really what's required right now. And that sets a great stage for you, Alicia, because you have new information. There's something that the creator beings have been doing for a while now, for a couple of months. And many of us, I would say since last October, November, have been feeling strange things because it's like, um, we can't do it in the old way anymore. I think that's really in a nutshell. We're asking ourselves, how can we step up in a new and different way? And that's what we're feeling. And it's very discomforting at times, waking up, tossing and turning at night, or getting downloads at night, or a lot of confusion. Some people are even feeling it in their bodies. So share with us, please, what is going on? What is the insight that you're getting?
Yes, thank you, Loren. So for over 3 decades now, I've been partnering with very high overseer beings of light. And these beings arrived with a mission, and the mission was to sort of revert the quotient of light and shadow in the electromagnetic fields that interpenetrated Mother Earth, surrounded Mother Earth, also the collective of humanity, our beautiful morphogenic fields and our collective field, uh, because, you know, a cry was going out, a cry for help from the souls that had been embodied, that have incarnated and kind of feet on the ground, feet on the tarmac, and understood, really, they realized what was going on here, which was, it was quite difficult. The resonance fields were very embedded with shadow. And as many of you know, that shadow had kind of crashed the party of Mother Earth and her beautiful, pristine energy fields quite a while ago, many eons ago now. She originally, excuse me, she originally was the most beautiful genetic library of species, and was kind of set up as this beautiful sort of holiday, sounds kind of crazy, but this place to rest for souls, and for souls to explore themselves in that mirror environment of what you think generates a reality. Instantly mirrors itself to you in that beautiful environment. And initially, as all of you ancient Lemurians know, it was combing the electromagnetic fields with sound, and with love, and with presence, with your presence of love, and generating communion with all of those electromagnetic fields, which were precipitating and morphing into the physical dimension, right? So that beautiful between worlds, between the physical dimension, between the psychic dimensions, as, for example, all the indigenous cultures around the world know how to walk that path between worlds, and know that this physical dimension is just kind of a shimmering temporary reality that seems physical, that seems solid. So in those ancient cultures, there was just a merging, not emerging, but a merging with that whole play of physicality, and the beyond worlds and the psychic worlds, and the loving of it, and the interacting with it, and the learning from it, and the just a love bath, and learning curves at the same time. But over time, shadow did step in, did sort of push through that membrane of exclusivity. It was almost like a no-go zone for shadow, but unfortunately shadow did penetrate and arrive and started to replicate, because it's like a software that replicates, self-replicates. And now we're standing with our feet on the ground at a time when that software, when that shadow software ended up crescendoing and taking over to quite a large extent. I mean, I've been poking my nose into the psychic worlds and partnership with many, many teams in the psychic worlds now for decades, and watching them work, and watching them call on ever higher authority beings from way beyond our physical universe, way beyond our spirit universe even, to come in and help change this dynamic, change the quotient of this ever sort of replicating, ever growing presence of shadow. And, of course, it ties in beautifully with astrology, with all the beautiful big curves, the learning curves, astrological learning curves of humanity and of the physical dimension, whichever cycles you want to bring in here. But at the same time, it's really interesting, because when you work with the worlds of spirit in a lot of detail, you realize that they are actually beyond astrology and beyond the machinations and the dynamics of even physical cycles, actually. Psychic cycles, physical cycles, whether it's universe level cycles or solar system level cycles, galactic cycles, all of those cycles, solar cycles, etc., that the worlds of spirit do move up in sort of echelons of authority. And as you start getting higher and higher, they operate beyond all of those cycles. And coming from that perspective, the heights of authority that started to get involved in wanting to clean up that pretty much, I mean, this is what I'm saying it, and I'm saying it from witnessing this and watching the worlds of spirit deal with this ever-growing quotient of shadow in those background psychic fields. And from that, you guys are a sophisticated audience, so I'm diving in the deep end with advanced information here. From that, so many communities and tribes and species of shadow tribes, you could say, in the psychic worlds, whether it's star tribes, whether it's moving out into higher and higher levels from different galaxies, etc. But they are present, and it's complicated. It's very complicated. And in the world of spirit, they know how to deal with it in terms of these higher authority levels who came in and rolled their sleeves up and decided to deal with it. And their first port of call was to go to, just very quickly, quick backstory, the first port of call was to go to the very core of Mother Earth's electromagnetic fields, to the very center, to the very sort of springboard where she was emerging from her higher octaves of her etheric bodies, where she was emerging into the physical dimension, and almost like plug this hole that was sitting at the very core that shadow energy was trying to own. It was like shadow energy was trying to own her essence, was trying to own where that springboard of her essence was coming from, right in that very core. That was their first call of duty. That was their very first focus of these higher authority beings, and they went for it and closed it in 2012, closed that aperture, closed that portal, so that shadow couldn't own it. And from that point, their next area of work was starting to just deal with layers that were very embedded close to that core. It's kind of like the I'm trying to find the words here, the stabilizers. It's the almost like concrete slabs of shadow that was stabilizing the presence of shadow in all of the layers further and further and further out. So they were on a mission. These high authority beings were on a mission, and they knew what they were about. They knew what they had to do. They had a checklist, and it took decades because they wanted to do it slowly. They wanted to do it gently. They wanted to do it so that they didn't destabilize the reality matrix, because all of you guys probably already know, because they want humanity to move through learning curves. They want the penny drops to happen. They want the realizations to happen. They want humanity to stay stable. They don't want to rip the veil between worlds. They don't want to destabilize that, which they can in an instant. So these layers and layers and layers and layers and layers were very gently combed and healed and repopulated with very high vibrational light, a specific type of light that calls, that instructs, that defines and sets a boundary with shadow. Because I call these high authority beings creator beings. They call themselves creator beings, overseers of universes, beings that gave permissions for universes to exist. They don't create universes themselves, but the guides, the councils that universe creators go up to get permissions from to create universes. So they're very, very high, and they wanted to save this experiment where humanity is in a force field of reflection, that mirror reflection, but that reflection is going out of control, right? The mirrors, what was showing up in the mirrors was getting pretty dark and has been like that for a very long time. So their strategy was, over time, over those decades, just gently cleaning, excuse me, but superimposing and embedding new light, a new code that was instructing shadow to not replicate, to pretty much creating a boundary and pushing it out and pushing it out and pushing it out. It's like a different kind of software that doesn't allow shadow to touch it or change it, because the kind of light that was here in the energy fields of Mother Earth could get changed by shadow. But this high authority light from outside our universe coming in is the bottom line. It's like it's a stabilizing light, and shadow can't change it, can't corrupt it, can't change its coding. So this is the type of light that's been flowing in, that's been embedded over a period of time, and so fascinating because all I do is just watch. I partner with them. I'm like a periscope for them. They showed me over a period of time how to partner with them, how to be that periscope with them, how to fly into the worlds of spirit with them, how to kind of create like a stable point for them to like through that periscope to scan and see what's going on down here because they're so high, right? So that's been my role. That's been my job. Let me see whether, because I'm just following what they're saying and I'm just noticing where they want to go with this. They're just telling me to say that they're so excited. They are so very, very excited because they've gone through some very important, what they call choice points. Choice is everything for them. Choice is not so much a decision, but it's a platform from where you come from. That's their word for that. They call it choice. It's like a snapshot of who you are at any one moment in time because that's where you're coming from and that's your capability of making choices or perceiving what's going on. So the word choice is a big word for them. So they're just saying that, yeah, just recently we've been running groups where we allow them to run their light through our auric fields into this physical dimension and into the background energy fields of Mother Earth and of the collective of humanity. We've been doing this for years. And I've witnessed personally these creative beings doing this thing a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times. But in the last couple of months, they did something pretty extraordinary in this kind of a theme. But before that, I watched them do this, which is, and I haven't sort of said anything about it. This is when I've watched them do this before, which is they are capable of, right? Because these beings they've got their hands on the electromagnetics, the quantum fields, traveling right out in this background psychic world. They have their hands on it. Their capability is incredible with it, like seriously incredible. And what I've watched them do a couple of times before is that I've watched them literally, and I'm pretty sure it was part of the program, like what they knew they were doing in the long term. But these early times when I've watched them do this is literally take Mother Earth's electromagnetic field and lift her through wave bands of dimensions and literally pop her into a different coordinate point, much higher up in the spirit layers. I don't go into dimension, first dimension, second dimension, third dimension, fourth, fifth. That's not my languaging. That's not kind of something I use because I've just watched them play with dimensions and unbelievable heights of dimensions. So that whole framework just doesn't make any sense to me in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it's like billions of dimensions going higher up. And so I've watched them lift her energy body into these higher coordinate points and let her sit there and kind of marinate and then do it again, maybe a decade later, and then do it again, maybe a decade later, higher and higher. And the repercussions and the ripples going out in realities, in how things show up in realities, how humanity starts making choices, is kind of fascinating to watch. I just kind of sit back and go, wow, okay, what's going to happen now? But in the last couple of months, completely orchestrated in with the biggest solar flares in decades and eclipses, one after the other, and huge astrological events all aligning. In the last couple of these group sessions that we've had with them, we sort of had to really hang on. And I know those of you who've participated in these know how powerful they are, how powerful they were. They literally pushed her up, just held her electromagnetic field, and in the middle of our group, light infusions, they pushed her so high, like exponentially high. And this was their main goal, they're telling me to say right now. This was the result they were going for as a kind of endpoint. And what they've done now is they were talking to me yesterday where I was having a good chat with them, and they said they've put her in a corral, in a corral of energy, and they are continuing to drip feed higher and higher light into her background fields. And what's fascinating is that the collective field of humanity has actually been, our logical minds can't keep up with this, but the collective field of humanity has been kind of separated away and put in a separate waveband, close, but not sitting right in what they're doing with her. It's separated out a little bit because they want to keep our reality stable. They don't want the intensity of the light that's being infused into Mother Earth to sort of leak into how they're mentoring humanity's consciousness. But they're wanting to keep humanity really close to this, not so much an experiment, but to what is happening electromagnetically, because they want to keep, it's so beautiful, they want to keep radiating the love and the mentoring into humanity's collective field. So what they're saying here right now is they're being incredibly deliberate. These high overseer beings are being incredibly deliberate with a mentoring process on an electromagnetic, in an electromagnetic style, meaning that just pulsing the electromagnetics, sending love into the electromagnetic collective field, holding it steady, every now and again intervening. And because they can see that humanity is on a few edges on all sorts of levels, on all kinds of levels. So what's fascinating is that my ears and your ears are hearing this from them right now, saying that they are mentoring the collective field of humanity right now very closely. They're watching it, they're supporting it, they're nourishing it with very specific types of frequencies. You know, as humans, because we're here on a mission, everyone watching this and me and Loran and all of us, we're on a mission. So we're kind of interested in this kind of a story going, I had no idea, but this is interesting. And what is interesting is that there's very deliberate mentoring happening from very high levels of spirit in the collective background electromagnetic energy fields that's being held in safety by very high authority spirit beings. That is so interesting and makes me feel happy. It makes me feel good. And I'm kind of used to that interface with them. I'm used to knowing that they're there, and I'm used to leaning on them and using them to do fast interventions sometimes. So I'm used to it, but a lot of people aren't used to that concept, that there's these very high authority beings that are cradling Mother Earth and also cradling the collective of humanity in a very deliberate way right now. That can be a new thought for a lot of people. And, you know, whether anybody believes me or not, I'm kind of not that interested in that. I've just been poking my nose in this for 3 decades, and watching it, and walking with it, and being invited into this experience with them. So I'm just passing on how I work and what's happening in the electromagnetic fields. And it's just such a journey and such a miracle in a way, such a miracle. And oh, and I invite everybody, I'm being prompted to say, I don't keep this to myself. These beings are really passionate in inviting anyone to work with them directly and start giving instructions or being mentored by them, or giving your instruction as a human to them for reality changes, for your personal reality changes, for global reality changes. They need humans who have a heart, and from that heart send instructions to them, because it's a free will zone. That's how they've always worked impeccably with me. That's why they tapped me on the shoulder in the early years, because they needed humans to use their free will to instruct them to come in and start making changes. And they always ask permission. Just letting you guys know, this is a free will zone. They had to maintain that framework, but they had to get their result that they needed and that Mother Earth needed, because they're telling me to say right now, because the experiment of having souls embodied in human bodies and experiencing a physical experience is not normal. It's not normal. It's not a normal experiment in other universes. This is a very abnormal idea, having souls embodied in physical bodies and going through training to remember themselves as vast beings of light, getting lots and lots of taps on the shoulder, getting lots of triggers to help them remember that they are vast beings of light, to bridge the gap of remembering. So that experiment is a very unusual experiment. And in those original moments when it was given permission to go ahead to roll out and become this universe that we're in at the moment, a lot of discussion was had and permission was given, and here we are. A long time ago, it got rolled out and we became part of the experiment, but we decided, of course, to embody at this time on planet Earth to be absolute rock solid rods of light, and to, like neon lights, and just to hold that light rock solid. That was our decision, to come here and handle the intensity of the storm of shadow, to handle that, because we're all warriors of light. I know you guys are, high five. We're all in this together, just to hold the light steady. So beautiful, so beautiful. Loren, have you got any questions?
Oh, it is so comforting to hear this from you, Alicia. And it puts us on task to hold the light and not let anything distract us from that. And oh boy, do we know there's a lot to distract us. And so we can actually neutralize this. Is that correct? If we work with these high-level creator beings and ask them and commune with them and ask them to help us shift our frequency, or absolutely neutralize. Like I see a question here. Beautiful Margaret, thank you. Our world is suffering. Why is this torture so slow? So the world is suffering, but this is a tall order for us to step up and be a greater light. Is that what you would say that we do here? Or how can we work with the creator beings to really shift this shadow and to create this reality? What are we doing with that? Are we really going into 0 point and shifting the reality?
Yes, timelines. Let's talk about timelines again. So you can change your reality immediately, within a second, by changing your frequency.
Okay.
Every single one of us is alone in a physical hologram. So all the ancient sages have said this, that we are alone, to go inside and change your frequency, change your own frequency, and then outside changes. Isn't that an extraordinary concept for our beautiful little logic to try and understand? If I change myself, everything on the outside changes. How does that work? That's just sort of beyond logic, because it is a beyond logic game. Logic was very late to the party to try and control everything, because how everything works is from the inside. And so everyone, do whatever you can to change your frequency and to hold it higher and higher. Some of those simple things, how to stay happy.
Mm-hmm.
Look at your phone and make a decision whether you pick it up and start scrolling through social media or not, because you're putting your attention into the sewer. I know it's very difficult, isn't it? Because it's addictive. But in that moment of decision of picking up your phone, which is becoming like this addiction to just pick it up, I'm just giving you a quick example, and probably half of you don't even do this anyway. But it's just an example of making decisions right through your day and observing your frequency and observing your mental state and observing your balance, your equanimity, and making really pointed and deliberate decisions to put your attention, because your attention is like a vacuum cleaner. Whatever you're putting your attention on, you suck into yourself. So if you put your attention on beauty, which is the core principle of the Native American Indians, and that's why it is such a core principle, is because whatever you plant your eyes on, whatever you put your attention on, even if your eyes are closed, whatever your attention's on, whether it's the whirlwind of a negative thought loop, right? You can disassociate yourself from that, know that that's not who you are, and go, oh, I want to change that. I want to change the resonance of what I'm putting my attention on. So walking a path of, especially right now, it feels to me like the mirror is in pieces. It feels to me like shards of glass are falling about us, which is the mirror that's being smashed. Feels to me like right now, is the ultimate warrior moment of holding light and holding your equanimity steady and being ruthless with your inner state and holding your inner state and doing whatever it takes, whatever it takes to stay happy, to stay love-filled. A very old video that I've still got on rotation on YouTube sort of talks a little bit about how to not trick your inner self, but to give your inner self a moment where you close your eyes and imagine an angel standing in front of you, and imagine yourself stepping forward and just being hugged by that angel. And in that moment, your electromagnetics change, your biochemistry changes, your brain wave patterns change. Such a simple, in the moment thing to do, to just let go of worry, to let go of anxiety, to let go of thought loops, to let go of lower frequency where your attention is. So anyway, I'm just giving you everybody that. And again, I always love to say, you guys are so long in the tooth. You've been on this spiritual path for like decades. You know all the tricks, but do we do it? You see, this is the thing. So I don't know. I'm just saying that, and these creator beings are saying that right now is a crucial, critical moment of requiring all light workers to stay stable in their light and in their state, their inner state right now. That's the big message, actually. And so, yeah, what's the job at hand as we're just right now, feet on the ground as we're walking through our hologram? Job at hand is to stay happy. Really important. Lots of meditation, lots of stillness. I want to give you guys a list, and you will love this. I had to write it down in my phone notes. It was just so beautiful. And this is a list of the symptoms of how we as humans, how we're feeling a little bit different after a succession of being pushed up higher and higher into higher and higher light frequency wave bands. This is going to be gorgeous, guys. We're going to talk about body symptoms in a moment, but won't be a moment. These are some of the ways you may be feeling right now. And as the surrounding electromagnetic fields get finer and finer, like something's flooding into the surrounding fields of what we're walking through, like the energy soup we're walking through, something's flooding in. It's a very high light. It's a very powerful light. It's a very, as I mentioned earlier, very stable light. It doesn't get pushed around by shadow, but it's very, very fine and very high. And these are some of the reactions that us guys that we're used to walking in molasses and pushing against kind of very thick energy. We're used to pushing against that thick energy that's normally there. Some of the symptoms, your heart might be feeling a little bit more deeply. So this is one of the symptoms. You might be, the sort of dial on sensitivity, on your heart sensitivity, is like really, really high. Very deep feeling from the heart, much more sensitive to vibration as you're walking and talking in your everyday. It's much easier to make decisions based on your heart, which when we're busy, that doesn't happen sometimes. We're just floating along with our intellect and our logic, and we think we're fine, but we've lost contact with our heart. So at the moment, there's a heightened sensitivity. We're much more sensitive, and it's much easier to feel the heart when we're making decisions. It's also much easier to recognize ourselves as these angelic beings. So thoughts about that might be happening just as you're walking along. It's like, oh my gosh, I just feel so strange in this reality. I feel so much bigger. I feel so much more sensitive to heart, and I don't see maybe heart that much around me, and I'm so sensitive to it. And again, this is stuff that you guys already know, but it's just dialed right up. This is interesting. A higher remembrance or a deeper sensitivity of what is real. And when I say the word real, it means of light rather than of shadow, because what is of light is real. So a deeper sensitivity to that, of what is real. A deeper distaste for fear, like you can feel it more in yourself or see it more in others. So it's like a recoiling from that, like a deeper sensitivity to that and a deeper recognition of that. More need for quiet, like a longing for stillness, a longing for quiet, which is a longing to be in the presence of God force, of course, and of the love. A deeper need for love. And of course, we're longing for home, for the love of our brethren, our home tribes, our home families. We're longing for that. So that veil between the worlds is getting thin, and that calling from inside of us is getting stronger. This is another interesting one. It's kind of like an increased sensitivity to your breath and an increased noticing of your breath, an increased valuing of your breath. So again, as you're walking around just in your daily life, you might be just going, wow, I'm breathing. And that's just an indicator that there's a big spirit part of you is noticing that you're in a human form and is acknowledging the miracle of it. But can you hear how that actually is, you're just moving back more into that higher self, big light being that you are, with these little penny drops, just so poignant, so incredibly love-filled. Yep, just something that I just mentioned earlier, which is more of a recognition of what is real and what isn't, which is what is and what is not, what is shadow and what is light, deeper recognition of that. Another interesting symptom is that nobody's got the answers to anything, and only you can connect with what is right for you, what is real for you. That's a huge one, because that is telling that that concept that there's only you here alone in a physical hologram is a reality. Yep, everybody else has got their opinions. Yep, everybody else is chatting around you about their realities. But in the end, where are you? Who are you? What are you feeling? What's real for you? That's the only thing that actually is real versus not real. And also the final one, a realization that you are God's source. And that's not an intellectual thought. It's just a settling back into that. And it's subtle, but that is a symptom that the gap is closing of remembrance, that you are in a higher vibrational field. It's helping you remember. And remember how the creative beings near the beginning, they were saying that they've got Mother Earth in a corral higher up, like really deliberately, they're holding her in a force field. They are nurturing her and drip feeding higher and higher light into her surrounding fields. But they've also got the collective of humanity in a kind of adjacent place close to Mother Earth. It's like a little nest with a whole lot of baby birds, and just mentoring the energetics, which pushes the consciousness, which pushes the self-reflection, which pushes the perception lenses and the choice points of humanity. So there's this mothering happening of the collective of humanity, and all of that is helping close that gap of our remembering. It's these symptoms. Just quickly, let's segue just quickly to physical symptoms. I just want to say something that's a slightly ugly aspect of this, and that is that as our light quotient increases, the grip that shadow has had inside us, inside from our soul history damage from shadow, because it's all just resonance patches and it's just still sitting there in our soul history. But also in our current electromagnetic field of our current lifetime, sitting in as patches, and also in the surrounding morphogenic field where shadow floats in various different ways. Shadow wants to grip and hold on to you, morphing into your higher self, and it wants to react. And it's like, let me just see. They're giving me this picture of somebody scrubbing a floor, and there's a little bit of chewing gum on the floor. And so, the scrubbing gets really intense to try and get that chewing gum off, So they're just saying it's a little bit like that. As the light is increasing, the shadow kind of gets like stuck and gets kind of sticky and doesn't want to move and starts tweaking, starts kind of erupting into either realities or physical symptoms, or attracts out of the ethers shadow beings that just want to cut across your bow, try and download things into you to just stop you in that trajectory of you elevating. So it's a reality. Hey, we train for this, us light warriors, right? We train to stay stable, and we trained to understand, first of all, understand how this works. And that's why I'm talking to you about how it works, right? We trained to understand how it works. And then we trained, and they're telling me to say, sure, you might have learned how to, handle shadow, but you know what else or more you trained in? And that is to activate your longing, your heart, decision, courage to stay stable. That was the main training. Interesting. That's fascinating. Yep, we've come across shadow in roles that we've played in higher dimensions because we've learned how to keep ourselves or handle that vibration. Most of us, some of us. But more than that, they're saying it's about holding the rudder steady, or holding that gear stick really steady inside of ourselves, of our open heart. Love beyond everything. Love beyond everything. That's the main training they're saying right now. So just to let you know that physical symptoms are very real. Interruptions from shadow are really real. External realities that are hiccuping. Remember, the mirrors are broken. Remember that your morphogenic field is getting retrained by new software, new instructions, and it's reacting because shadows had ownership of parts of those surrounding electromagnetic fields for quite a long time, whether it's your personal energy field, whether it's in your immediate vicinity, or whether it's globally. So keeping that rudder steady is everything. And the other most important thing is to start partnering with spirit, with highly trained technicians in the worlds of spirit that are on board right now, wanting to come in, waiting for your permission to come in, like big genies who can do anything, who can intervene at any level and change things at any level, but they need your permission, they need your instructions. So a big sort of thing that needs to be said is, yep, keep the rudder steady, but also start partnering with spirit deliberately, regularly. The way I teach is lie down regularly on your bed or sit up, have quiet moments. If you go horizontal, all your electromagnetic fields calm down, and it's easier for the teams of technicians to come in and go deep into the layers. Just letting you know, this is a skill. This is a practical thing to do. Just lie down on your bed somewhere on a couch. Give yourself, even 5 minutes is good, but 15 minutes, 20 minutes, if you do as regularly as you can, like every 2 days, every day, and say, okay, guys, this thing's hiccuping. This thing's hiccuping in my physical body. This thing's hiccuping in my emotions. This thing's hiccuping in my mental thought loops. This reality is hiccuping. Everything, they're telling me to say, everything can be combed in the electromagnetic fields. Everything can be reprogrammed as software in the electromagnetic fields, especially from high authority light technicians, meaning that they cut through all the protocols real fast. They abide by all the protocols, but they cut through the protocols really fast, move through it really fast. This is not something that changes over a month or 2 or 3. This is like can change in a minute. Your state can change in a minute. A reality can change in a minute. Definitely your thought loops will change in 30 seconds. So that's the other big message from them they're telling me to say right now, is to start partnering really deliberately with spirit beings and just do it, do it, do it, do it. They're telling me to say that. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Let's see what else they want to say here. They're saying they're so happy that they've got this opportunity to let everybody know what's happening in the background fields and to give these really important instructions to start grabbing the hand of teams of spirit beings and pointing to what you want done. Remember, you're alone in this hologram. So if you're lying down on your bed and you want something changed, it can be changed. If it's something like, if you want $1 million and you've only got $2 in your pocket, there could be a lot of reframing in your mental self-perception. So a lot of new patterns, a lot of new habits of thinking that they need to help you create so that you lift the platform you're standing on in terms of a sense of ownership of that reality, right? So you might feel really disempowered that you can't have that, but you want it anyway. So, and you ask for that, so they will, that might take time because they have to repattern the base from where you're coming from so that you feel comfortable and own it, feel completely comfortable owning that, and you start opening up to lateral thinking, lateral ideas, which they start planting in your mind and also start creating opportunities for you from the outside as well. The more regularly you can, they're telling me to say, the more regularly that you touch base with them, that you touch their energy, that you touch that relationship, that highway, that you invite them in to start working with your auric field, they start getting to know your auric field. They start getting to know all your soul history. They start treating you as a partner because you are treating them as a partner. Two-way street. They take you seriously if you take them seriously. And you start walking between worlds and you start realizing that the physical dimension is malleable, like plasticine, and that your instruction really matters, really, really matters. Thanks, Lorraine. Is there anything else you want to say?
I just want to say that this is so inspiring And I know all of us have been reflecting, looking back in our lives and seeing those instances where we were being challenged. And to be that stable pillar of light in all of it, to hold the light, and to realize that we can't, I mean, oftentimes we'll want to go to another person outside of us and ask, what's going on? But we are the only ones in our own personal hologram that will get that right. So this is really an activation, what you've given us today, this information. It's very inspirational, and I love it so much. So I hear these beautiful comments on our Zoom. We have almost 300 people with us today. This is the warrior of the Light Tribe. And now is the call of the hour. And I think we've got this. We absolutely have it. So thank you, Alicia. Working with these spirit beings, I still see questions. Really? We can change physical state quickly by working with creator beings? And again, you named it. You answered that question. Yes. If we believe in them and respect them, it's going to be reflected back to us. Beautiful.
I
Okay.
quickly want to say on that, a lot of you who are watching this might already know my work and have jumped into the spirit journeys that I facilitate, where we go up to the worlds of spirit, which I'm pretty sure we're about to do. I'm going to check with these creator beings in a moment. So for over 3 decades, I've been looking into those force fields beyond the physical dimension, and as an energy healer for 3 decades. And I've watched, and I quite often say and talk about this, which I invite these spirit beings to work with myself or somebody else into their aura. They repattern the aura, and that person is thinking differently afterwards. Their state is different. I do it with me I do it with myself, with them many times a day, because my state changes and I'm very deliberate about it. This is not woo-woo, this is physics. In laboratories now, technicians are using electromagnetics to change the outcome of how a physical little creature looks. You know, they've got a mouth in their stomach now. They are manipulating the waveforms, the electromagnetic waveforms, which is horrendous, in order to form the thing that comes out. I think they're manipulating embryos using just waveforms. So they're catching on to this technology, but these light beings, they are masters, eons and eons and eons and eons of training. They're just masters at light waves and how light waves change not only your state, but external reality. So this is not a vague thing at all. It's very precise. It's very surgically precise. When you change the waveforms in your auric field, your brain changes, your thoughts change. They just go on a different train track. It's just standard operating procedure for me. Just mentioning that. I just wanted to mention that because this is really feet on the ground. This is not vague. This is not about, oh, some vague beings. You know, these, when we pass over into the worlds of spirit at the end of our life, we will meet these beings. We will be one of them. This is what is actually, what am I trying to say? You know, this is behind the movie. We'll step out of the movie one day. So it's very real, and it is physics. It is technology. Yeah.
I keep hearing that phrase from Seinfeld. It's real and it's magnificent. It's got a different context, but that is the truth. And so we are activated in this way. I think we are all highly inspired right now to keep on keeping on, because we love this group. The frequency here on this call is so high that there seems to be no problem in the present. And so if we can remember this, if we can tap back into this when we are in a moment of challenge, Would you say that a moment of challenge is shadow? That's how you're defining it? We are light, we are love, we are stable, but shadow, we can pinpoint it just as shadow, however that may show up, a challenge, an initiation. It's to keep us in our light as a pillar. Am I correct on that?
It's really interesting because I might know too much in terms of how realities form or
Hmm.
how we interpret realities. I actually know the detail of how our lens changes, how we can get caught in a sort of storm of intensity that comes up. We can get caught in that. But because I've looked at electromagnetic waveforms and energy bodies for 3 decades, I know a lot about where that's coming from, how to work with it, how to change it quickly, how it can be mentored, how to have the initiation without dragging it on for months, and how to have it integrated to have the learning curve, but without huge amounts of pain, right? And aggression or whatever it takes. So, so challenges for me are always shadow, whether it's
Mhm.
ancient shadow coming out of oneself to be seen and to be released, or whether it's shadow floating past in the ethers in the external energy soup that downloads into someone in front of you who suddenly miscommunicates, misinterprets, is suddenly in a chaotic resonance field and is misinterpreting and is delivering or trying to embed or download that chaos into you. And as a light worker, you're resonating initially in equanimity and suddenly are noticing a chaotic energy trying to download into you. And that's a challenge. However, for me, it's all spirit world stuff. It's like, okay, I'll just grab one of my spirit partners. They will look at what is happening in the other person or inside of me, instantly let me know the scope and the entirety of what's going on. And then they will go in and appropriately untangle it or transmute, dissolve that shadow in the other person. And if it's somebody, if it is another person where that situation's happening, they will pull an entity out of that person or pull that shadow out of that person. And weirdly, that person changes in an instant. You'll see their face change. Their thought stream changes instantly. Their interpretation of what's happening in that moment is changed instantly. I mean, I've watched it just so many times. So that's what I'm saying. So challenge, yeah, is shadow. Is
Okay.
shadow. So many ways to work with it. Partnering with your worlds of spirit, to start partnering with them, spend time with them, in audience with them, having audiences with them. They will start showing you how all this works. They will start teaching you how to be a light warrior from the inside, so that challenges are simply sort of moments to untangle from a energy point of view and then move on.
Yes, okay. We are looking at the energy of all of it, and I know we all have a better understanding of it. Looking like you said you can see those electromagnetics, and we're becoming more astute at this in these past months and even years. So, wow, your understanding that you've given us really helps us navigate better, following that love thread, the heart thread, and watching those magnetics and knowing that we can shift those magnetics in any moment. That really is our responsibility. I also love how you said that this is our own hologram. We're in it alone. And so we can bump up into other people, but it really is best to be this in our container, but we're surrounded by beings of light that will be here to support us and help us shift that. That's very, very great. Thank you. Wow.
I just want to address also, just very quickly, Loren, physical symptoms, and just quickly move through just a really fast conversation about it.
Okay.
yeah, neck pain, head pain, headaches. All of it is us in our physical spacesuit handling a rain, it's raining on us, of shadow erupting and not being happy with this higher frequency, not being happy with it, and wanting to interrupt us and kick us around a little bit. And shadow will find ancient etheric wounds from other lifetimes. You might have had your leg chopped off or something, or a spear gone through your torso or something. And there's slightly distorted energy patterns in that area in your body blueprint, still sitting there. And shadow has a way of knowing where that is and will put its focus on those areas. And, whether it's a knee or whether it's the groin or whether it's the back or whether it's, women, the urethra, or whether it's the womb area or whether it's the stomach area, digestion, or whether it's the heart muscle or whether it's the lungs, or our beautiful bodies, incredible structures that they are. So I just encourage everyone to do a little inventory and just do a little scan and do a little feel into your body. And please take notice of where it's tightening up. Please take notice of any tweaks or increased pain, especially something that's not normally there and it's only started to happen in the last few months. And put full focus on it with your spirit partners. Lie down, invite. And I always say, if you're someone who hasn't played with me in the worlds of spirit, this is your first time listening to me, just use the terminology Alicia's spirit technicians, because that's in the coordinate points in time and space in the worlds of spirit, the right people will show up. Obviously, if you're someone who's worked with me a lot, you might have met your spirit technician teams and you might have names for them. Use those. But I'm just encouraging everybody to work with your spirit partners on your body, and notice if there's a new pain pattern arriving or suddenly there, and mentor your body, right? Because it's a being in itself, of course, as you guys all know. Mentor it, give it the stretches, give it the yoga, give it the walking out in nature, give it time to calm down in meditation. Have the hot baths, the hot showers. Jumping into water is great, of course. Have lots of rest. That's the best news anybody can has had a long time. Have lots of rest. Give yourself permission to sleep and rest. And lie down, invite your spirit technicians in. There's a key couple of components in that moment when you're inviting them in. One of them is point to the thing that you want the result to change. Point to it. Tell them exactly. They need specificity. I'm always talking about this. They want your instructions and they want them specific. So you can say, I need that pain gone. I need this tissue to slowly be repatterned in its blueprints, because that's where the technicians are going. They're going to the map, the energy map of your body, and are slowly going to love it back into a different pattern. They've got ways of doing it. They sing to it. They radiate it with love. They download new software into it. They're telling me to say, and they're showing me they sort of radiate it with an energy to get those blueprints that are kind of concreted up and have a sadness in them that might be kind of popping up from subterranean, subconscious and unconscious in us or our ancient archives. But it shows up as kind of concreted, sad, fear, grief energy, terror energy, sometimes from ancient memories, sometimes. And remember that shadow will be wanting to use and leverage that ancient memory of fear and try and, what's the word? Exacerbate, amplify the physical symptom until it turns into something that you can't unwind easily. And that's why it's really important to catch it early, right? To work on it as quickly as possible so that that map can get changed, so that that external, how it's showing up in the physical doesn't turn into this chronic, concreted, going in one direction thing. If you've already got a chronic condition, just start working on it with your spirit tutors, because it can, and they're telling me to say, it can mute it a little bit, mute the intensity of whatever it is. It's all in the blueprints. It's all in the map, the energy map. That's where they go. That's where they'll start working. They'll start working in your history as well, your soul memory, your childhood memory, your physical human memory, and just start repatterning memory waveforms. Everything's a waveform. They've got their hands on the waveforms. They're waveform experts. So taking the time, everyone, just give yourself the time, give yourself the nurturing, give yourself the love, give your body the love. Take the time, put your to do this. Some of you have got such busy lives, living in cities. I'm not living in a city at the moment, but boy, to even think about taking the time, if you lie down, you'll fall asleep, you're that busy. I'm just saying, pop it in your schedule, start doing it, give yourself the nurturing.
And welcome home to yourself, your beautiful self, and partnering with those creator beings, high-level spirit beings. This has been very, very helpful. And again, at this time on the planet, it really makes so much sense, and it gives us fresh direction and fresh inspiration for moving and staying stable in our light. Just like that image behind you, that's what we feel like when we listen to you. We can feel the electromagnetics of that. When we feel goosebumps all over, all lit up, like we are right now, that's what's happening. So it really is helpful to know we've got this and we can shift it. And we've got a lot of support as well with the creator beings. We came here to do this exact work. So I think we've got it. We just have to keep on keeping on. Great. So Alicia, I want to have you share a beautiful event that's coming up. It will be recorded if people can't join live, but this is where you're going to be working, let's say playing with the creator beings, in a psychic surgery type thing. Share with us what's going to happen here. This is a webinar coming up.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm just so, I'm just so excited that the creator beings, it was their intention to do this. They were signaling to me very strongly that today's talk was about this, but also this event on Friday in the US, 9 p.m. ET, Eastern. I was just quite blown away that the creator beings really wanted to support us as light workers, to support that intensity of those reactions of shadow pushing back, especially in our physical bodies and our mental states and our emotional states, to support us. They were so hot on this. They were so passionate about this. So just going to talk about this because we're going to spend an hour really deeply scanning. I'm going to just go a bit advanced here. We're going to start scanning what teams of shadow in your personal history might be floating in at this moment in time, at this time, to put the brakes on your ability to hold light. And this is, teams of shadow that might have interacted with you and historically in your Akashic records, in your soul history. So just quickly, we're going to have a 1-hour deep dive with spirit surgeons from high authority levels of the creator levels, really high authority, with speed, with precision, with that authority to make the changes quickly. And the most important thing is they're going to take time first in the session. It's going to be a 1-hour session. We're going to start straight away diving in and traveling up to the worlds of spirit. So don't be late, whatever you do. I think we might even close the call after the first 10, 15 minutes. It's important to be at the beginning so that you go through the airlocks so that your auric field is prepared for when you are at the place that we go to receive this deep, deep surgery. So if you're not there right on time, you miss out on the preparation, on the electromagnetic preparation, and you might not arrive at the right coordinate point to be at the right spot with the right people. Really important. So we're going to start right on time. We're going to go in and scan, and these teams are going to find these rogue shadow tribes that still know you, that still connect with you from these ancient soul history times. They're going to scan. It's really interesting. They're telling me to say right now, they will do a physical body component where lower teams that are lower down, that are closer to the human realm, are going to scan your physical body and are going to look at patches of sort of gnarled wiring that, if they're not now, could start causing reactions in your physical body and symptoms in your physical body. That's going to get covered. But one of the big things that they're keen on doing is finding who's floating around, what teams and tribes are floating around, because they've got sort of lines into you, like threads. And they'll find those threads and go up and find these tribes and transmute them, transmute and nullify the whole tribe. I know it sounds controversial to say, but they do. It's all in a day's work because they want to shut down these influences that might interrupt you, that just are unnecessary now. We want you to have a rocket boost on as a light worker. We want you to fly freely. This is their words they're giving me to say. We want you to fly freely without albatross around your neck or concrete boots on, right? Without any interruption or these major interruptions that could show up from this point on, just floating around in the ethers that are still connected to your etheric field. So that's a focus point for the session, to find these for you and get them transmuted, but also where that connection is in your etheric field will be wounding. And so they will go in and repattern those soul wounds as well. And they're just telling me to say right now that the focus will be what they're focusing on and what they're looking for is quite big connections to shadow, important connections to shadow, because they see that as a vulnerability in your auric field. If you're a light worker where you want to speed forward, because that creates drag, but it also creates quite serious interruptions because that shadow could start, this happens all the time, can start in the back door, just translating reality for you, can start patterning your consciousness. And instead of going that way, you start heading that way because you think it's real, because you think that's what you should do, because shadow has just given you some background false narrative from sort of higher up instructions because they want to derail you as a light worker. Really important. And this is a juncture point for you. Whether you, this is not a sales rap, but it's true. It's a juncture point for you if you want to have someone have a look at that with high authority, skill, capability, and just cut it. And with huge authority, just change all the contracts, close all the gateways, and transmute the owners of what that is, of what that interruption shadow energy is. And we're also unique. We're also different. So it's going to be a very big session. Oh my goodness. I have to say, I'm going to be the one holding on to the big Zeppelin as these teams dive deep into every individual who's on the call, you know, because usually I'm doing one-on-one and we do a lot of group work, but This is going to be really big session. Thanks,
Wow.
Lorraine. I hope that makes
Thank
sense.
you. We are very excited for it. Very, very excited for it. It is,
You're welcome to come
yeah, well, you know what?
if you can
Everyone
make it.
is welcome to come, and we're it's something, it's I want to say it's like it's light medicine. It's even solidifying our stabilizing our light even more, thinking that they're looking for big connections to shadow. That could be quite disturbing, but we've got this. And so this is really important work, as you said. And I see these two beautiful birds flying right out my window, and that is confirmation. So it's needed at this time. And light workers, you have incredible support. And thank you so much, Alicia and the creator beings, for putting this on. It will be recorded, right? And
Hmm.
so if people can't get there on time to go through that magnetic auric upgrade, then just watch the recording. It's just as effective. And oh my God, there's beautiful, colorful birds flying by right now. That's our higher consciousness. That is what we should be. That's our resonance with these fields, right? That's
Yeah.
something very, very special going on.
Mother Earth, she's saying yes.
And I know that each of us, as we contemplate what you were saying, as you were talking about how the creator beings will be working this Friday in this healing session, we can look back and we can say, wow, every one of us needs this. None of us are immune from shadow.
Mm.
I would think that there's certain saints on the planet that are, but this is something that this is the work that we do. This is the lifting that we do. Right? So that's
Yeah,
really important.
it's a good
Good.
point. It's a really good point. Sometimes because I'm working and moving so fast with all of this with them, I'm in the flurry of it. But you've just stepped back and just created and spoken an overview of, hey, we are like warriors, and it is part of our role to lighten up, to divest ourselves of the weight of shadow, not just in this lifetime, but from those eons and eons of soul existences as well, especially the big uh, connection moments with shadow, crash moments with shadow, you could say. Divest yourself from the weight of that, like a balloon, to go higher after that. And by the way, as you can imagine, because these are multi soul existence, multi lifetime scans and healings, that the soul that you are when you pass over and you continue in different journeys, in different roles and jobs, in different interactions, in different roles later on as a soul in higher light dimensions, all of that work's been done. Because when people pass over, that's the job of a lot of healing teams. They go into healing stations, and a lot of teams come and just start cleaning that person up from its lifetime of interacting with shadow and fears and sadnesses, etc., and illnesses and just density. And so this is a multi-dimensional, multi-lifetime elevation, actually. So yeah, in fact, all the work with these creative beings is that just showing me right now, it creates huge momentum of the light of the soul in terms of what it becomes beyond this lifetime. Yeah.
Mm. Are we ready? Yes, we are ready. We are ready for this. We can feel it. And wow, so incredible. Okay. Yes, everyone, you can check out. And if you're joining us on Zoom, in the Zoom link in this chat box, you're going to see the link to register. If you're on YouTube, there's a link on there as well. Check it out. It's in the description box. And we will be sending an email out with more details about this class so that you can join and take part in this. What beautiful light workers, the light tribe you are. Oh my goodness. This is such important work for this next phase that we encourage all of you to take part in this. How very precious. And I just want to say, if anyone needs help with it, There's a 2 payment plan, so it's easy for you to take advantage of it. So just let us know if we can help you in that way, or it's in the shopping cart and it's there, it's all set up. So we look forward for everyone to check that out and joining us if you can. And again, if you can't join live, it's there on the email recorded replay that you're going to get with that. Wow. Well, even if all we do is partner with the creator beings like this, as you've instructed us in this course today, that is significant, tremendous work in its own sense. And this has been so beneficial and so helpful, Alicia. My heart is wide open and I feel more deeply connected with the pillars of light that are on this platform, that are on this call today. And I get it now. And it has fortified me so that when there is that shadow that creeps in through the back door or however, we know what to do. We can stabilize this light. Mission on, right? Game on.
And the parting message is there is so much help. There's so much help. And to never forget that, even when you've passed over, maybe there is so much help. When you've passed over, you can still call out for these teams and these creator beings. They move with you beyond lifetimes. So yeah, very, very important relationship and connection. Height of authority, everyone, just get that in your mind. Speed of results, height of authority, just keep that in your mind. Leverage, shortcuts with all the integration, with everything impeccably in place. Nothing is skipped.
Wow.
Hey, can I just really quickly, I know
Yes,
we're over
yes.
time. I just want to invite everybody to close your eyes. The teams just prompted me just before, and I thought, hey, why not? I'll just let's see.
Perfect.
Let's do
Perfect.
a quick little sort of a merge moment with these beings. It's not gonna take long. It's like a little bath. I know everybody would love it. So let's close our eyes just for a brief moment. Oh my goodness. We've been in this force field of their light for nearly an hour and a half. I'm going to invite all of you to switch on your pretend mode and your imagination mode. And I want you to imagine that you're standing on the control deck of a very large spaceship made of light. And in front of you is a very tall being of light. This is a creator being. This creator being's stretching their hand out to you, and you stretch your hand out and take their hand, squeeze their hand. If you feel safe to, if you feel you want to, allow yourself to be pulled gently towards this creator being, and there's going to be a little merge moment. And this is standard practice in the worlds of spirit, where there's a brief merging of auric fields, and it's a way of hugging and loving. So allow yourself to feel pulled towards this being of light, and allow yourself to gently, gently be embraced by this being in their arms. That's all we're doing, is allowing ourselves to be hugged. We're going to just hold that for a moment. As you can imagine, because this being is such a high authority consciousness, they are instantly reading you, right? So everything in you is being understood in this moment, but with so much like mentoring, gentle energy, so much care and love. And I'm being told to say that the reading or the scanning of you is so important because they want to get to know you. They want to get to know how to help you. So it's a quick little scan, even in this moment. And I'm being told to say they love to get to know light workers. To understand your soul and just spend a quiet little moment with you. It's all we're doing here today. if you want to, in this quiet moment, you can send an instruction, a thought to this being of a way that you need help. And when you're ready, this being's arms open out and you step back. You both bow to each other with honoring, deep reverence. And this being steps back into the energy and disappears. All very quick. But a lot happened in that moment.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We felt that so magnificent. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will continue working with the creator beings. Wow. What a beautiful way to send everyone on their path and their journey. I want to thank you, Alicia. This is always so precious with you. Your work is incredible, and we are all in gratitude. And I'm actually in gratitude for every single heart who showed up here today, because your light is so beautiful and bright, and it just makes me cry in love of who you are and who we all are. Thank you, Alicia, and thank you, everyone. Wow. Any final thoughts, Alicia?
Let's just notice to see if they, oh my gosh, I can just feel them radiating into the camera, into every one of you looking at me. There's this intense radiation. Their presence is just going, woo, just, wow. Beyond words, they're telling me. Their consciousness, their resonance is way beyond words. And they're telling me to say, if there were words, they're just saying they're grateful for the connection with you. Oh, gosh, they couldn't do this work without us humans. That's the point. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Deep, wonderful connections that will always be with us. We will link up with them always, in all ways. Thank you, Alicia. And thank you, everyone, for being here. What a beautiful start to this Timeline Summit. We hope you enjoy all the programs in this series and shine your light so bright. We got this. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.